Warning, warning, warning! Alien approaching!
For your convenience, I am monitored to respond to the name Robbie.
To movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
I'm Derryl DePriest.
And I'm Brian Mix.
All 5 Regular Joes for the price of 3, everybody.
What a bargain.
What a bargain, I say. Full house today.
Why have 3 when you can have 5?
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
We're going to talk about some stuff. Robots.
Yay.
Anybody?
Robots.
That's what we're talking about. Why, you ask? We asked the same thing.
Because Todd wanted to.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about robots lately.
Yeah,
when
we
I think
know
of
that.
robots, I think of Brian, and then I think let's talk robots. So
That's correct. So we'll do that.
Robots.
Also, some other stuff. Yeah, we got other stuff. Wait, I'm messing up my volume here. Wear a mask, everybody. Jim Bush says wear a damn mask. No one knows what that means.
I know what it means. Go to me first, because Brian wanted to go first, so I'm saying go to me first.
I wasn't going in first. Let's go some random. But follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Please do that. We never ask you to do that anymore, but do it. Not that we ever post anything, but you never know. There may be something good. Barry, what do you got?
So I'm just taking off of your wear a damn mask thing. I don't know. Have any of you guys seen Paul Rudd's video that went out where he tells people to wear masks? He just put out a video.
I saw of it. I did not watch it.
You should watch it because I actually thought it was really funny. He put out a mask video where he's basically telling people to wear a mask, but he's playing off of the fact that everybody says that he doesn't age and he looks so young, so he's pretending to be a millennial, and he goes through all these different vignettes of something that like millennials would do. But then towards the end of it, he just starts ranting about, it's science, wear a mask. So it's actually worth looking up on YouTube. It was actually pretty funny. So Paul Rudd says it too, wear a mask.
Barry, science isn't right. If you know anything from this week, you know science isn't right.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's right anymore, what's wrong, but Paul Rudd says wear a mask, and I like Paul Rudd, so I'm going with that.
He's not too far from here. I appreciate him, Paul Rudd. Thank you.
Jim Bush and Paul Rudd both say wear a damn mask.
Got to listen to him. All right, Brian, we'll let you go now. What do you got?
All right. During the sports ball this weekend, they were running commercials for Discovery on CBS. They're going to run it on network. First season.
Did we talk about that on here?
I know we talked about it, but I can't remember what's on the show and what's not
amongst
anymore.
themselves. Yeah, they are. They basically none of the. Okay, here's the state of television today.
Yeah.
The first thing that ABC came out with for the fall is Dancing with the Stars, and they put that freaking Tiger woman in it. Tiger King. Like, the freaking bullshit TV that is on is even worse than it used to be. Not that Discovery, but everyone has no TV. So, yeah, they are going to run that, which hopefully gets it a bigger audience. And they did announce they are going to – I'm jumping on his. This wasn't my random, but they are going to rename CBS All Access to
That was
Paramount
my
Plus.
random, so –
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right.
What's the new? Dave, what's the new name?
So in early 2021, they are changing CBS All Access to Paramount Plus.
Like, everyone needs a plus now.
And it's
really,
going to be a combination of Viacom and CBS content.
Can't they?
Well, are they so desperate for live television that they're going to steal from their online? Are people not now going to buy the online because, I'll just wait for Discovery to come on network?
Well, it's only season 1. I
don't know that it would have happened if it wasn't for the fact that they have nothing to put on the air.
Yeah, they just haven't been in production. So,
And it's not, I mean, listen, I know, Dave sells advertising for TV. I deal with TV every day too. And I deal with movie studios, and part of my job, and I won't go too deep into it, is I oversee the team that runs the video on demand business for our company. And we had our November new release meeting today to talk about how there's no new releases to put on in November.
Wow.
And the movie studios, we're getting towards the end of the year where they all thought they would be releasing the movies. They pushed everything back to November and December, and now they're pushing things back further. They don't know what to do because Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, I don't believe, did nearly what they had hoped it would. Mulan didn't do nearly what Disney Plus hoped it would.
How did Tenet do, though? How did Tenet do compared to Mulan?
Tenet did terribly. Tenet
came out in the theaters. I think its first week it made $20 million.
Right. It cost $300 million.
Yeah.
So what did Mulan do its first weekend on?
They don't announce numbers.
Yeah, they don't tell that.
And the crazy thing, they did announce. I think we talked about it whether on the show or off the show, but it's coming out in December. The beginning of December, it's free on Disney Plus. So
these guys don't know what to do, and that's the problem. They're
tough.
holding. We talked about, I think last week or the week before, we ran down the list of all the movies that are being held right now, and the studios are basically saying, like, we can't afford to take $200-300 million movies and just lose our shirts on them. So they'll just hold them as long as they have to. But there's going to be. They've been releasing their little movies up till this point. They're running out of little movies, and now they've got nothing but big movies, and they don't know what to do with them. So it's going to be an interesting time.
And Tenet have showed them you got to wait it out. The streaming
and Bill
is
and
not
Ted. I mean, they spent a lot
of
of money promoting Bill and Ted, trying to get people to drive them to pay $20 for it. And, some people did, but not enough.
Yeah.
The day they come out with the COVID shot, go buy stocks in movie companies because they're going to be releasing everything in 2021.
Problem going to be there's
Tenet
nothing in production now.
But Tenet may have put Warner Brothers out of business.
Oof.
I mean, that movie could end up killing that studio.
So while we're on the subject of studios, does Paramount have the name anymore that anyone's going to care about Paramount Plus? It's not like saying Disney Plus, right? Do millennials associate Paramount with anything?
I think it's better than CBS. I think most people know that Paramount CBS is all part of Viacom. I think it all comes down to the content. I think it's less a name.
I think that people associate CBS with broadcast television, which they perceive to be free.
Correct.
And Paramount is tied to a movie studio, but even movie studio names don't mean what they used to.
That's what I'm saying.
I went to a movie and there was one movie studio name. Now you go to a movie, there's 17 studio names before
Alibaba
the movie starts.
From the standpoint of a cord
things.
cutter, I think you can explain what CBS is. I think Paramount's tough. It doesn't have the cachet.
But they're going to try to position the Paramount Plus thing as the next, Netflix. Just like Disney Plus and HBO Max are supposed to be the next Netflix.
That's what I'm saying.
HBO Max is a stupid name, though. I mean, that makes no sense. That's so limiting.
HBO is so confusing to me because there are like 4 different streaming services from HBO. I don't know.
They're going to be shutting them all down except for the one, but they have.
There's really
there. Yeah.
There's 3. There's HBO that you subscribe to on TV. There's HBO, the streaming app that you could pay for if you don't subscribe, and then there's HBO Max that has sort of everything. It's too much like work. Let's talk about something else.
Yes, it's all
Darryl, what do you
too
got?
much like work to me.
So apparently it was announced or rumored that there is Disney Plus is developing a young Mace Windu TV project in early development, and Samuel L. Jackson is involved. And this is very interesting to me because I have always posited, and maybe it's the comic book fan in me, that you never saw Mace's body. You never saw him definitively die. Yeah. He flew out the window. And a guy with his mad skills has got to be able to survive somehow.
So you're thinking like old Mace sitting around telling stories from his youth?
Exactly.
Young Indiana Jones Mace Windu.
In the sub-levels of Coruscant?
Yes.
Just kind of shuffling out there. And
oh, please. This would be great. No, not quite that, because his character begs to be involved in, high level stuff. The problem is Now every character they bring back, they're trying to shoehorn in and not violate everything else that we've seen in the universe, in the Star Wars universe that unfolds. So, while a good idea, and I love Mace Windu as a character, where the hell has he been? Right?
It has to be the earliest stuff they've done pre-episode 1.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is, again, yet another series about a doomed character. And instead of having a series, having a series about a character, another like The Mandalorian, where we have a road ahead of them where we don't know where it goes. It's like the Cassian Andor series. It's like it's prequel basically.
Well, it's a prequel. It's a young Mace focused story. But where does it lead? And apparently, in interviews, Samuel L. Jackson has hinted that Mace could return. That just like I was positing, you never saw the body, you never saw him die, so he could return. And he doesn't mean return in a series. He means return to the universe.
Yeah, maybe he's the old guy telling the stories at the beginning, and then
he could also show up in The Mandalorian. Let's face it, if he's still alive,
they could cross over all the new series.
Cross over,
we'll see. But that's very tantalizing.
Or the Cassian Andor series, that would be a little bit closer to realistic time frame for him to be around. But we don't know how he ages, right? Because not everybody ages the same.
That's right.
Obi-Wan seems to have like half the lifespan of everybody else in terms of his aging. Maybe the whatever race Mace belongs to has a 200-year lifespan. So he's just
all I have to say is I love all these characters. If they bring them back, just do it right, and I'll enjoy it. Like that's a
crapshoot.
No, well, so far the Mandalorian has given me a lot of hope.
Yeah, but tough to have a series about a Jedi because you got the Superman syndrome. What are they going to do? Jedi's going to show up, save the day, then what?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, but
if
they died like freaking
Jedi's have lost.
This also means if you've got Ahsoka Tano, you've got Obi-Wan, you've got him, you've got Kanan.
A few
you got a lot of hiding out Jedi.
Yeah.
It's like if these people had just started like a newsletter, they probably could have defeated the Empire.
Yeah.
If
only they had the internet.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, more on that later. Todd, what do you got?
Okay, quick, because none of you care. Pennyworth is getting a season 2. I really liked the show. It was a lot of fun.
That's the show that's on a network nobody's heard of?
Exactly.
We did this with them too.
I'm astonished because, like I said, I've never met another person who watched it, but I loved it.
I watched most of it. I think
it was really good. And so there's a second season. And so this is the story Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce Wayne's butler, prior to being Bruce Wayne's butler. And we know his history. He was in the SAS and stuff like that. And this is kind of in between. Again, last season was really good. They did a lot of really cool kind of like 60s London stuff, which is great. Don't think about the timeline. And and he shagged the queen. So, it's good. Oh, sorry. That's a spoiler. Sorry. Okay.
You know what I'm astonished by, Todd, is how much time you have to watch all the shows you watch. And I think I speak for the audience here. There's another one of you.
Yeah.
There's a clone Todd.
Again,
one of you goes to work. The other one watches shows all day.
It's just one of me who doesn't sleep, and that's all. So, But anyways, I'm looking forward to that. So,
okay, mine is a little different. So, it does tie into Star Wars. So there was a series on a couple times. Ewan McGregor and this guy named Charlie Borman, who is it Frank? Not Frank. Frank Borman was the astronaut. Borman, the director who directed Excalibur, I believe. Anyway, they did this series of sort of motorcycle trips that they were shows based. One was called Long Way Round. Has anyone seen it? They basically drove from London to New York the long way around the world. They did get on boats, on motorcycles. Then they did Long Way Down from the London to the bottom of Africa. That was about 13 years ago. Now they're coming out this weekend, or as you hear this, this week on Apple Plus, no less, plus, another plus, Long Way Up. They go from the tip of South America all the way up to Los Angeles. I love those shows. One inspired me to want to buy a motorcycle and actually get permission from my wife to buy one. I never did, but she didn't remember that because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy a motorcycle now. Anyway, but they're doing it on electric motorcycles, which is crazy. Which a couple companies just come out with electric motorcycles. So Ewan McGregor and this guy Charlie were on ET or whatever, and they were doing an interview about this. The funniest thing is, in this day of Zoom, it's about an 8-minute interview, and they're Ewan's in his house in L.A. and Charlie's in London somewhere, and the girl is in New York. Ewan McGregor's dog is coughing the whole time that he almost can't even hear them talk, which is just hysterical. And he's literally stopping the whole time looking at the dog. But anyway, he did mention they're going to start shooting Obi-Wan in the spring, which is still a bit away. And she's like, oh, is it 1 season or 2? He's like, oh, I'm only contracted for 1 season. But then he sort of was like, but you never know, it could be 2. So who knows?
Yeah, well, and the headlines that came out of that were Ewan McGregor confirms it's a one and done. And it's like, that's not what he said, but that's what the headlines were.
But if you have Apple Plus, check out Long Way Up. I love those series. I even read the book on it. It was really interesting. They make a lot of stops and stuff. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Great buddy road trip.
Exactly.
Let's talk about
Let's
fanboy collectibles.
all enjoy fanboy collectibles. Talk of buddies. They're like your best friend who owns a toy store. Check them out, fanboycollectibles.com. Up for pre-order or in stock, Kotobukiya Harley Quinn, the only person of the Suicide Squad you should care about. There's one of those. Speaking of Obi-Wan, there's a very cool Obi-Wan mythos statue from Sideshow, and just in time for Halloween, there are 2 versions of Freddy's glove, so you can slice up your friends. Hot Toys and Pops and Sideshow and Kotobukiyas and all kinds of stuff.
And a lot of really cool stuff in stock. We always talk about pre-orders, but there's some great stuff in stock right now.
Yep, absolutely.
Look online, fanboycollectibles.com. Tell them the regular Joe saying, or go to their store in Newtown, Connecticut if you happen to be in the neighborhood. They are open Monday through Friday. Okie dokie. More Star Wars talk. So the Mandalorian Season 2 trailer came out today, and we all watched it.
At least once.
At least
not multiple
once,
times.
if not twice.
Or 3 times.
And some of us may have watched someone's picking apart of every single thing in it for 13 minutes. I watched that today.
I avoided that, and I avoided going frame by frame through it. I figured Barry would probably do it for me. So
I didn't go frame by frame, but all you got to do is scroll through Instagram or something, and everybody's got screenshots of all the cool stuff.
I can't stand that. But there were a couple things that I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at that. What was somebody's, I'll say mine, because I'm like, X-Wings. Look at the X-Wings.
X-Wings were awesome. I loved the 2 fighting Gamorrean guards in the boxing ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was crazy.
So I got Underground Arena Fight Club. This is this part of the Star Wars universe we love, like this underbelly, seedy underbelly. More of that.
With one of those Darth Maul type dudes. The guy
Darth
he stabs.
Yeah, the guy who falls down has the little horn thing.
Plus, the guy the Mandalorian sitting next to is one of those one-eyed guys from the cantina.
Mio, I think, is the guy in the cantina.
Yeah.
But I don't know his species. But
they mentioned it in this.
The Darth Maul is a Zabrak, I think.
That is correct.
And they do come in yellow and we know that. So
yes.
So, yeah.
The thing that grabbed me was obscure. The alarm that went off was the alarm from the Tantive 4 from the mono version of Star Wars, which I have not heard in a while.
It's funny in this
alarm,
nerdy thing. They said that alarm was an Imperial alarm because they did play a clip from something else that alarm was going off on an Imperial ship.
Oh, so after they changed it, maybe they went back found it in the library and said, "Hey, this hasn't been used. Let's make it an Imperial alarm." That's interesting.
Yeah, so that was what someone was saying. It's like they shouldn't really be Imperial ships because most of them are wiped out. But it's an interesting that there's an Imperial
I don't know. We saw
alarm.
a scene of a bunch of stormtroopers running down a hallway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. And then there was a bunch of dead stormtroopers. I think they were on 7 different planets. People were theorizing on what planet they're on. Camino.
and I know when we
So-
saw the Tusken Raider last season, and we said the Tusken Raider didn't look that good, so now they upped the game and put him on a bantha.
Yeah, that
That was
should
pretty awesome.
be Tatooine.
Yeah, that's got to be
Should
Tatooine.
be. Should
So
be.
the Dave, the X-wings, were they escorting him? Like, is it
Well,
captured, or were
there's
they
a-
helping him, or what
Well,
was the
the-
relationship
some-
there?
I don't know. That's a good question
It
because
looked to me
in
like
the
the
beginning,
guy, the little duplicate guys from Cloud City that flew a Falcon into Cloud City.
It did
It looked
look
a lot
like
like
that,
that.
oh, interesting. That
It
could
looked
be
like a
it.
chase to me.
But
So
that-
it's like
the
an
ship was
escort.
in
It's like an
bad shape.
escort. That's interesting.
That
It
is,
was
Yeah,
in
that
bad
opening
shape in the
sequence,
beginning.
the Razor Crest was in bad shape. It was the back
was like
hatch was open. It was
zzz-
Oh,
sparking.
the
that's
back
right.
hatches, and then one of the rockets was kind of flaring. So
Yeah.
no, they.
So were they helping him out and helping him go somewhere to get fixed or land, or were they fighting with him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's,
I also like the voiceover, of I'm assuming it's the armorer from last
yes,
season.
yeah,
That's
I think
right.
it is.
yeah, all
Yeah,
the
it
dialogue
is.
was from last season, pretty much.
She's talking to
Last
him
season's
about
dialogue, yeah.
Yeah.
but she was talking to him about the Jedi, the wizards, and that he had to bring Baby Yoda back to his people, which I
Yep.
thought was
Well,
kind of
that piece of dialogue was in one of the first episodes.
was it?
Yeah. And that's interesting. So, and here's the thing. So obviously the mission is maybe bring Baby Yoda back to his people, which, are Jedi. And, when is the last time Jedi really existed? So
Numbers and in
so New Hope, Star Wars to Empire is what, 3 years to Jedi. Let's say there's 5 years from first.
No, you have to go farther back than that.
you got to go back to Order
No.
66.
I'm just setting the timeline from where they are. So they're a few years after.
They're 6
Return of
years
the
after
Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Is what
So
they
let's
said.
say that's 10 years. So it's 10 years back from the Star Wars, right?
Right.
And then 20 years back was Return of the Revenge of the Sith.
Right. So it's about 30 years since the Jedi were wiped out.
I mean, Jesus Christ, we
So-
remember.
but I don't think
it's
it's
like us not
What I'm
remembering
saying,
Nirvana.
so in this universe,
it's 30
are they
years
looking
ago.
for Luke?
no. I don't think it's Jedi at all, Dave.
I don't think so either. That's what I was
yeah.
just going to say. I think they're looking for his race. The only two examples
Right.
of his race we've seen are Jedi.
Are Yoda
that's
and
the-
Yaddle?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the
But they
connection.
said-
But I don't think it's.
Well, but
Oh,
and I
maybe
think we've talked
they
about
are
this.
wizards, not Jedi. They're not Jedi.
But I think
they're
we've
just
talked about this
wizards.
before. The movies we've seen and the stories that we've seen focus in on the Jedi, but in the broader galaxy, they may not be as common, and everybody may not know about them the way we think that
And-
they do, because that's all we know.
In fact, Barry, there's nothing is known about them in all the Star Wars encyclopedia and lore. Lucasfilm has kept these deliberately super obscure.
No, I'm not talking
Yeah,
about Yoda's race. I'm talking about the Jedi in general throughout the galaxy may not have been as well known. Like all the stories
Oh, I
we
see.
focused
I
in
see.
on them, but the average person in the galaxy may not be as aware of Jedi as they could be like the Tibetan monks. Like maybe we've heard of them, but we don't know anything about them.
I
Like,
see them in the city all the time. They wear these yellow
Yeah.
robes.
Yep.
Those are Hare Krishnas.
Oh.
So, I think they're talking about Yoda's race.
the race. Yeah,
And,
But I
and
think they're
I think
kind
the
of
only
equating
two of them
them
that
as
have ever
Jedi.
left their home planet are Yoda and Yaddle. I
Yeah.
think,
Is it really? Is her name really Yaddle?
it's
That's all it
Yaddle.
is.
Yes.
and that's
Is-
why their child, who is the child, will be known as Yodel.
So anyway,
But-
it's going to be good. There's no doubt, and it's only 45 days away.
What I like is it's still the child and not a moody teenager. it's
Yes,
Oh,
it's,
like
it's
Groot?
not. It's not.
Like Groot.
It's not Groot. Yeah.
I
I will
love
say
the
my
scenes-
probably my single favorite thing in the trailer was when the child reaches over, pushes the button itself.
That's what I was just going to say.
Like, oh shit, I'm out of here.
Yep. It's about to go down. I'm closing the cover.
It is like, that is not why that button is there, but he's figured that out. It's like,
so,
oh yeah.
So something that was funny about the first series, and I see it carried over into this trailer. It's like he's doing obviously stupid things that he shouldn't do, like taking the child out in public. These are cringeworthy things, but it's needed to propel the series along. Like he's got to, it's got to make a living, right? So
it's needed to sell the child toys. Okay, and you know that as well as anyone.
Know that.
Well, every time he leaves him behind, something horrible happens.
Yeah,
they wouldn't be everywhere in every single store right now. So
every time he leaves the child behind, you'll be safe here.
Oh no!
It's like,
what, I shouldn't leave you with the pit droids at the docking bay.
He's just kind of hoping someone's going to kill the thing, so he can be like, "Oh, okay, yeah,
I did my best."
So what I got from this trailer was more of the same. Only he's trying to make his way in the world, a world where there are a lot fewer Mandalorians than there were before. Right.
So there's no Boba Fett sighting in this thing. There were a lot of quick shots.
Again, in this trailer, either there was talk of Boba Fett.
I saw a quick flyby of someone with a jetpack. I wasn't sure if it was him or.
I think that's him.
That's him.
Yeah, it's him
with the jetpack. Which is
I don't think they're going to show any of the big reveals in the trailer. They're going to say
they'll hold those.
Wouldn't they say Tamara Morrison supposedly in this, or is there talk about that?
They did, but there's actually talk about him playing Captain Rex and not playing Boba Fett.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, interesting.
That could be interesting.
But they clearly showed us the boots and the spurs and the sound effect of the spurs and that episode that Ming-Na was in. They showed the Tusken Raiders and the Banthas, so they're going back to Tatooine. They're going to pick up on that storyline somehow.
So I think they go and find the guy who picked up Boba Fett's costume because he's dead like a bitch, and we all know that. He did not make it out of the
which is fine. I don't need it to be Boba Fett.
Mostly digested uniform.
And probably just prefer it not to be Boba Fett, but
they spit out the metal parts. Yeah. That's it.
I will say this: if Favreau and Filoni figure out a way to bring Boba Fett back in a way that doesn't completely turn our stomachs, if anybody could do it, it would be the two of them.
They bring the ice cream maker back, and that's fine. You can't bring Boba Fett back.
Sure, you see. Sure, Ming never dies. Boba Fett, maybe Boba Fett never dies.
No.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'd rather see Ming-Na back.
So I guess we assume that like that orifice that Boba fell into was the Sarlacc's mouth, correct?
Correct.
So the Sarlacc could also have an anus. Just maybe like 200 yards away.
Listen, if stuff goes in, it's got to come out somewhere.
And he comes out and he's just covered in shit, and there's like the sail barge crashing, and he's like, "I'm out of here." You know? So
well, they did tell him that he was going to spend 1,000 years digesting in the stomach. So
yeah. Well, everyone thinks that, but no one checks out over by the.
I feel like you're making a show about a Mandalorian. You're really going to go to Boba Fett? I mean, I doubt it. It's almost too much.
It would overshadow.
I hope they don't, but we'll see.
I would not underestimate what they believe the fan base for Boba Fett is. I think
that fan base has transferred to the Mandalorian.
We are underwhelmed by Boba Fett, but there are legions of people who just worship at the altar of Boba Fett.
That's right. I am not underwhelmed by Boba Fett like Dave is.
Now, do you like Boba Fett for himself, or do you like for what he is and he's a Mandalorian? I think this Mandalorian is way cooler than Boba Fett. Boba Fett did nothing impressive at all.
Okay. I'm a purist. I ascribe to the Boba Fett of the cartoon.
Right.
From the holiday special. That's the one true Boba Fett.
I agree.
And
that
the comics.
The one true Boba
and
Fett.
the comics, yes.
And the comics.
The comics were actually good. The comics
are
much
so
better.
good in the comics. He's exceptional.
Like, I think I told you guys before, he was lined up to be the new Darth Vader. He was going to be the new Darth Vader, and then he decided not to make the next set of films, so he killed him.
In the comics, he was just a plot. In the films, he was just like a plot device. It was just like, oh, okay, and there's Boba Fett.
Yep.
And then they just put him in every freaking special edition.
Yeah.
Okay, enough
or
of
the
that.
one.
So
All right, we're all super excited for the Mandalorian.
Yes,
obviously.
I'm very excited for it. There's not a lot on, so we got that. That's the 30th. What's something else is in October? What was that?
Discovery.
Discovery. Discovery.
Stuff.
Which we're dubious about.
I'm being open-minded.
Is anyone?
I think they are aware of all their sins at this point, and I think they have an opportunity to correct that.
I think they filmed all this stuff before they realized all the sins. Hopefully not. Let's not have a discussion. Just an answer, question and answer. Is anyone watching Lower Decks still?
Yes.
Okay. Is anyone who
I
doesn't like?
I said that way too enthusiastically.
You did.
Yes.
Is anyone who
Yes,
doesn't
I'm still
like
watching.
Are you keeping up
bad
with
television?
Because we're not going to talk about this, but are you keeping up with it?
I'm
Yeah.
not. I haven't seen it.
I'm
seen
two
the
and a
first
half.
three.
I am 2.5 episodes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're ahead of me. I'm 2 in.
I've dozed off twice in the middle of the third.
They've
episode.
already had a mid-season trailer for the second half of the season. Q is coming back in the second half of the season.
Q.
Q
They
is
are
going to be on Lower
grasping at
Deck.
straws.
Q who?
man.
Q the.
Q. John
I
Delancey.
said Q.
Yeah, Q.
Anyway, all right. I'm enjoying some of the other shows we're talking about more than that. But enough of that. Let Todd.
Let's talk robots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone can just mute themselves while Todd
Robots.
monologues on
I
robots.
know,
Plastic pal
wanna
who's
know
fun
what you
to
guys-
be with.
So, 7 years ago, we at one of our early shows, we talked about the robots that we like and love. And I was thinking
Now we're going to talk about the same ones.
it could be, but we have a couple extra people here.
I don't even
So
remember.
we could
doing
ask them. We could get their opinions, but so a couple of different things. So for starters, what are parameters for what a robot is? Okay, because
Thought you might ask that. I looked it up. I will read it
Okay.
to you right now.
okay.
The major difference between a robot and an android is that the former does not have to resemble a human and the later has to resemble a human.
Okay.
The difference between a robot and an android.
So I would put both, and if we're putting both robot and android together, okay,
Yes.
I would still say there's another category. There's another
No,
characteristic.
I'm not done. There's more.
Okay.
A robot is a machine endowed with the ability to work autonomously by relying on its programming.
Okay.
An android is a robot, but the added characteristic that it resembles a human in appearance. And an android can easily be confused by a human being when an appearance is considered.
So
Okay.
all androids are robots, but not all robots are androids.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
There you go.
So
So here-
a replicant is not an android.
Replicant is
Replicant would be an
flesh.
android because it looks
It's-
like human.
But it's not a robot. It's not a
It's not
machine.
mechanical.
It's biomechanical.
A
mean,
replicant
it's bioorganic.
is.
Are we
yeah.
counting?
I think it's manufactured. A manufactured being is an android. An android.
We're all
yeah,
manufactured beings.
yeah, they're all manufactured beings.
We're all manufactured in slightly different ways.
Well, okay.
But are replicants flesh and blood?
I think so. Didn't you see the way
But there's got to be
Chris
some type of robot
got blood
element
everywhere?
to them, no? I mean, they're made in a
I
factory.
I think the key thing is if they're programmed, right?
See, now
So-
that's the thing,
Well-
though. I mean, you put a chip in your head, and does that make you a robot? If we were able to program
you
you,
cyborg.
Because then,
Yep.
then you're
cyborgs,
cyborg.
Cyborg might be a better word.
I don't.
So-
are we, Todd? This is your show. Are replicants part of the robot?
I
situation?
think replicants are androids. I think androids are robots. I think it all kind of fits in together.
Okay.
The line gets very blurry. The one characteristic I was going to say for the purpose of this discussion, I think the robot, I think it has to be ambulatory. Okay. Because I don't really give a shit about the thing that builds cars. Okay.
Right.
And that is technically a robot. Okay.
right?
By the definition I read, yes, it is.
Yeah,
I-
that's what I'm saying. But I think a thing it's for our purposes. I think it should move under its own power.
So okay, let's go around the room. My favorite robot is the Roomba. Barry?
And I was going there. I was going to say, so the Roomba would apply to all these
My
characteristics.
favorite is the one that cleans the pool. The
But
bottom of
after
the pool.
that,
I have
after
one
of
half
those.
an hour or
Polaris.
so, it's just
I'm on my
not
second
interesting.
one.
Yep.
I would say that all the robots we're going to talk about have personalities. Am I probably pretty close there? That
Or
The
a
robots we
lack
like-
thereof, which is the characteristic. Yes.
Some of them
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
but most of them do.
most of them
My
do.
Polaris is kind of an asshole because he does not clean my pool very well.
Did you give it a name, or is it just Poolbot?
Maybe that's why I never gave him a name.
Mine has a name. It's Marlin.
Okay.
My son
Marlin.
gave it
See?
to me.
I should name him
Yep.
Polaris 380.
Most people do name their pool robots. I
They do.
learned that while doing research on the pool robots.
Maybe that's
Okay.
why mine is failing.
He
It's
just doesn't
still,
like you, Dave.
unnamed.
Yeah. You didn't bond with it, Dave.
I didn't. I
Yeah,
shouldn't have
you're
had sex with it. I mean, I don't know.
We'll save that for later. That's the climax of the show.
And at
Dave.
9:25, yeah, no pun intended.
Well, Todd did
at
ask us to write
9:25,
down
the
a
show
list of
went off the rails.
our hottest robots. So
Oh.
That's the closer. Okay.
Yeah.
So, which is why
That's why replicants have to be in there.
that's why replicants and androids have to
or
be
at
in
least
there, okay?
androids, because
Because if we
everything
take
on
them
my
off
list
the
is an
table,
android.
it's a short list. Okay. So one of my questions is, and this is something that genuinely fascinates me, is that we tend to assume that like non-menacing robots are non-menacing, and but like certain other things, you don't give it that benefit of the doubt. A non-menacing clown to somebody who's freaked out by clowns is a clown, and they're all scary. But I think, in particularly pop culture, you have to see malice from a robot to believe that it's, if its appearance is non-threatening, you have to see malice to be threatened by it.
Well, a great example of that is C-3PO and 000, right? Like
Absolutely.
exactly the same droid. One's shiny, one's all black, but one of them will kill you and the other one will talk your ear off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even like K2SO, who could be menacing looking, okay? Yeah. You kind of give him the benefit of the doubt until, yeah.
I think that and I love Rogue One. They set him up the first time you see him. He is very menacing, but then you find out later he's
but
been
you accept
reprogrammed.
that. You don't suspect him as being, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the other things. I think more than human characters, we take robots at face value. We look at robots as very black and white. Once it's established to be evil, we assume it's evil and don't expect anything other than that. Once it's established to be good, we kind of assume that. I think we have this kind of like template for
because they're programmed. They don't have the
exactly
ability to change. But when I think of robots, especially in pop culture, I think they are predominantly good. I mean, I'm trying to think of, they're way more good robots than bad robots. In terms of
pop culture.
In terms of,
would you say that pre-Star Wars?
Huh?
Would you say that pre-Star Wars? I think Star Wars may have like turned that tide.
But you want to know something? Give me the name. And Darryl can't do this. What's the name of a bad robot? There's robots that sort of are faceless, sort of do bad things.
Bad robots with names.
They're not like character. Bad robot
that's a good point.
Maximilian.
Yeah, Maximilian is a decidedly evil-looking robot too, in comparison to the cuddly, Vincent.
But I almost feel like you need to take the entire Terminator franchise out of that equation, because you've got the same exact look of a robot that is, evil and helpful, and it's all based on changing the chip in its head.
Yeah, well, that's what they all
absolutely.
are. I mean,
and that's the point.
Was a good
but there's not an ambiguous Terminator, right? There's not one that you're like, I assume this is good, but it's actually bad.
Well, they were actually trying to go there, I think, with Terminator Salvation, but they never did the sequel, so we will never know.
Yeah, whoever the dude is.
Yeah, Sam Worthington didn't know what he was. Didn't even know he was a robot for a while there.
But Todd, you talked about Star Wars, and for me, I mean, it's great that Brian and I are on the show, because we're both fascinated. We have a deep connection to robots in different ways, I think, as will come out. But when you talk about Star Wars, to me, there were robots in pop culture before Star Wars. We all know this. There was, the robot from Forbidden
Robbie.
Planet and Robbie and there. I loved Get Smart as a child. Jaime was a robot,
Yes.
on Get Smart, which was super cool. So they were around. But,
Rosie, the robot from the Jetsons.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
right.
going to be part of our life in the future.
That's right.
But
they
also
were-
Lost in Space was also pre-Star Wars.
And Lost in Space. Lost in Space I actually had written down, and I started to write like a little paragraph on Lost in Space. Robot. Like, why I didn't have the affinity I had for Robot that I did for others. Although it was clear that Robot, the writers, had him be a sympathetic personality with character and part of the family.
Unless he was corrupted.
Unless he was corrupted, right?
Yeah.
So, but robots prior to Star Wars were utilitarian things, and even in
Robot
Star Wars,
as servant.
as
almost.
servants,
Yeah.
always
Yes.
as servants. And the evilness of robots came out when their programming was corrupted, when they
By a
disobeyed.
human.
By-
Like that Farrah Fawcett movie we trudged through.
Exactly.
Harvey,
Yes,
wasn't that Harvey?
Saturn 3.
Yep.
Hector.
Or for that matter, Dr. Smith programming
Yeah.
robot to kill the
That's
Robinson.
That's the pilot. He programmed that robot to kill
Full
everyone
ship.
on the mission.
Oh, and what year did the Daleks debut in Doctor Who?
Daleks weren't actually robots.
I don't consider
right?
Daleks or Cybermen robots because
Yeah.
I think they're cyborgs.
Okay.
They're actually
Yeah,
flesh and
Harry.
blood inside the Daleks.
I should have
right?
known that.
Didn't you
We've
know
done this one before.
But anyway, it wasn't until Star Wars that human characteristics were really strongly imprinted on the droids. So this is a complex thing that made you feel like an affinity towards them, imprinted like survival instincts. And clearly C-3PO and R2, especially R2, had survival instincts that made you feel like they're doing what you would do in those circumstances.
And the genius of that is R2 doesn't speak. Okay.
Right.
And yet more people would choose him as their favorite of those droids.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And they have a hardcore affinity for him because he never says anything that alienates you in any way. You can describe whatever you want to him. He's very heroic. But that was a risk. I mean, in the original draft, he had a voice that they adapted into that Dark Horse comic. R2 had a voice and spoke just like C-3PO did, and they argued. So that is interesting. They both made them more human, but also made them relatable. Maybe that's what it is.
And that opened up a gateway on what robots could be, right? I think
without them, we
that was
would have had
really
no
a turning
Twinkie.
point. Yeah.
I gotta back you guys up a little bit on that because Lost in Space did every one of those things first. Robot had a personality. Robot had a will to survive. Robot sacrificed himself for his family. There were a couple of evil female robots on that show. They had numbers instead of names that were evil incarnate, not programmed by a man. They were just evil robots. Now, granted, it was a campy show towards the end, but they did touch on all of those things in Lost in Space, which was the first robot I ever fell in love with. I mean,
me too. And I'm surprised, Darryl, you said you don't.
what
have as much-
9-year-old kid would want to have a robot best
Oh my
friend?
God, yes.
I probably haven't watched the whole Lost in Space series. I thought I did as a kid, but I never got the same warmth, and maybe because he was going, Dr. Smith would reprogram him and it would go back and forth, and he was more of a plot device than a bona fide
I
character.
also think it's harder to ascribe personality to him. I think there's
Totally.
I think there's affinity for him, and I think there's a bond to him, but I don't think he did anything surprising. I don't think he did anything that I think it's again, he's every 9-year-old kid's dream. Okay. A couple of years later, it might've been Penny, but at that point it's like, it's well, when they're 11, Dave. I know, I saw the face. Okay, it's
Saying that's a
by,
little,
by 14, it's all
Judy's,
Judy. Okay,
Judy's
it's all
the
Judy.
only one you kind of.
So
That's
to.
another thing, that the imprint of human emotions or characters, your relatability to that, it didn't exist in Robot.
I think
to me.
without
it
Will,
did.
Robot
I
was a
disagree.
machine.
I disagree. I think you need to rewatch season 1. There's
All
not,
right.
not much
Okay.
else worth rewatching on Lost in Space, but season
in the
1 is
last
great.
episode of Lost in Space, he sends himself into the furnace to save the family, and he comes back out undestroyed because of the size of his heart.
Okay, well,
All right.
He's the
settled it right
Grinch. The
there.
heart grew 3 sizes that
And
day.
that is why we have Brian here. Okay,
There you go.
I agree. When we get to our favorite robots, we'll be interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hottest robots.
now,
But before we get too far down, let's
Yep.
talk about the 3 laws. Are we going to?
Yes,
we
sure,
have that
yeah.
on your.
Go
That's,
for it.
it started with Robbie the Robot. Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics is 1, you
Yes.
can do no harm to a human. 2, you're expensive, so you got to do no harm to yourself unless it might
Right.
might
Yep.
harm a human. And oh crap, what was number 3? I forgot number 3. The laws
I
of
thought
robotics.
I was impressed that you knew that, but
Yeah.
you built these guys.
I did not look them up because I thought I knew them. I know the first one is don't hurt a human, don't hurt yourself, and
Don't talk about Fight Club. Is that the third one?
don't talk about Fight Club.
I'm looking it up.
okay.
But Robbie the Robot embodied all those things.
And
And
it was
demonstrated
it
throughout
looped
the
back.
movie that
it looped back. It was that you can't conflict the first 2. Robot must obey orders given by humans except where such orders
that's the
conflict
third
the
one.
first
You must,
law.
Conflict
you
the
must
first
obey
law.
orders.
That's the
That was
second
third
law,
one.
right?
Right.
The third
law
law
is
must protect its own
self-preservation.
existence as long as it doesn't go against
Yeah.
the first and second
Okay.
laws.
Yeah.
And they demonstrated that with Robbie throughout the movie. That he tries to shoot the captain in the head, and he almost blows himself up because he can't do it.
Right.
So that was
Mhm.
obviously they stole the laws from Asimov, but
Right. And it's interesting, they talk about those laws when they talk about self-driving cars. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, so it was very well thought out. I mean, so
Well, a self-driving car, based on some of these rules and some of these definitions, could be considered a robot. Right? You said it has to be mobile. It's programmed.
there's no question. I mean,
Yeah.
at some point it's going to be,
Yeah.
it's going to decide which of your kids should get picked up first in the rain. Right? So
That's
I
right.
don't know that it does. I don't know if anyone would trust that, but
yeah.
My
So-
kids don't leave the house anymore, so.
Okay. So that hypothetical doesn't work at all.
Problem
Oh, you didn't mean
solved.
my kids in particular. You just
No,
meant my
no,
kids
I'm
in
saying-
general.
some kids in an alternate universe where they're allowed out and
I am
will
saying
have to
when,
go
when
places.
Billy is done with violin practice and Susie is done with ballet and they're both standing out in the rain, the car is going to assess which neighborhood they're in, going to assess the names and relative survivability of the ages and the relative survivability of the kids and the value of the violin, and make a decision.
Then it'll ask Google who's closer, and it'll go.
Yeah, it's just going to go who's closer. Yeah. So, yeah. Until a cute-looking Tesla comes the other way and gets distracted, and that's it.
But the one point I was getting at, other than Robbie the Robot, none of these robots follow those laws.
Yeah.
In fact, you pretty much can't have a movie unless you're breaking one of these laws.
Right. And that's the whole, but that's what makes the plot. That's the plot point.
Right.
Yeah. And so
Even the iRobot movie, which I happen to like. I don't know
I do
what
too. And I was actually going to use that as an example. It is really, I found it really interesting how they used very subtle facial changes to make that one robot not unlike all the rest of the robots. The point that, you'd see fear, you'd see flight, you'd see all these things happening in this robot's face, where they made, all the others totally impersonal and just robots.
Mhm.
They ascribed, which it was pointless other than getting the point across in this movie, but it was more human. It was infinitely more human than the others. And that was how they made that work. But
Another excellent robot portrayal by Alan Tudyk.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has he played more robots than any? I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's 2 we know of.
That's
What
2.
other
So there you
robots
go.
is
That's
there?
more than anyone else.
We should look into that. I bet there's
Arnold's played 2 also, so.
What was the other one he was?
Well, he's played different versions.
Well, I guess he's played different versions of the same robot.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Plus, when you throw timelines in there, he's like, no, that makes my head hurt.
He was the T-800 and he was Pops.
Trap. Anyway, that's for another show.
A lot of post Star Wars. Lots of. I mean, it was everybody liked Star Wars itself. Everybody wanted to cash in on that whole thing. You just take a minute on some of the horrible things that came out of that effort. Because I would say the Daggett from Battlestar Galactica was
one of the good ones.
Yeah. Boxy was
Boxy was the kid.
I know we're down this again, right?
Muffet was the Daggett.
Muffet. Okay, see,
we'll do this
Boxy
again.
Boxy actually fits the dog better, but
At least the dog acted like a dog. You got to go to Tweaky. Tweaky was the worst 70s television.
I agree.
Is he as bad or Dr. Theopolis?
Dr. Theopolis was the smart one. He held.
No, I know. I want. That's on my list of things to build. I want to build a Dr. Theopolis.
Yeah, I remember you said that. I want you to build two of them.
Yeah.
I know. I'm looking for a project.
Yeah.
We watched that movie Star Crash. The robot Ellie in that was maybe the worst robot in the history of movie robots.
Pretty bad.
Worst robot. Bad robot.
Dave, you got it.
Logan's Run.
Box.
Literally made out of a cardboard box.
Wait. No. Sorry, he is a cyborg. Not a robot.
He's the worst cyborg
ever.
There's
Halloween
a human in there?
mask. Dryer
there is
vent duct.
a very embarrassed
box.
human in there. Yes.
Is he an android or is he a cyborg?
He's cyborg.
So he's an augmented human?
Yes.
Okay.
More than a machine or a man, more than a fusion of the two.
He's
like
reciting
Vader.
the lines. Jesus. We finally found a person who is worse, more of a nerd than we are.
This is why I'm saying this is why we have to revisit this topic. Okay.
That's awesome.
So any other? I guess I would throw like the black hole robots in there.
Bob. Old Bob. Ugh.
Old Bob, just terrible. And
I
so
still haven't seen that movie in 30 years.
Old Bob has an interesting link to the robot in Star Crash because they both got this kind of folksy,
I have a
almost
theory.
Texas voice.
I have a theory that any robot with an accent other than British is terrible.
Yeah, I
theory.
would totally agree with that because you know why they have an accent other than British? Because they're trying to not do that.
They're trying to be goofy. Yeah,
they're trying to not be emulating.
I really like Vincent in the Black Hole. Roddy McDowell again, a British accent.
Yep.
Did a robot, and every other robot in the movie's terrible.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Maximilian's not terrible.
Yeah,
but he doesn't talk.
But he's also just he's just a prop. I mean, he's just
menacing.
there's no personality to him. He's menacing, but I'll tell you, the other robots are just
the T-800 doesn't talk, but he's menacing as hell.
in the Black Hole, he has an army of robots with guns, but he has to build one with spinning blades.
Spinning blades, exactly.
The army of guns isn't enough.
Well, the problem was the army of robots really just lined up to be shot. Okay. It's like
worse shot than stormtroopers. Yes, they were.
Exactly.
One of the things I think is interesting, until at least in the original series, did they ever really go with a robot anywhere? You would think that would be such a science fiction thing. Even
are you talking about Star Trek now?
Yeah,
original series. Okay. Yeah, there's a couple robots.
Yeah, there are.
Lurch in what are little girls made of?
Yeah,
he's a robot.
He's an android, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
and so is the girl, I guess, is a robot.
Yes.
Yep.
Shirley Jackson, right?
Oh, and all of the not Muds women.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they didn't go with sort of the mechanical.
All androids. No, they're all androids.
They didn't go with
people playing
robots.
Yeah, no mechanical robots. Maybe
Nomad.
Nomad, maybe Nomad.
Oh yeah.
I don't think.
So
I don't. For some reason, I don't think of him as a
Battlestar
robot.
Galactica series, not the remake. The Cylons were robots.
That is absolutely right.
Yep.
By your command.
And they didn't know what to do with their lower half, so they gave them skirts.
Skirts, yeah.
and that they ran out of ideas at the chest. They just whatever the helmet was. They stretched it, made it their chest plate. So they ran out of ideas after the helmet on the Cylon.
I like the
helmet
skirts.
was
They're
awesome.
cool.
The skirts are like what the hot snow troopers
Yeah,
have.
like
Why do they need
exactly.
skirts either? But
Like
they
hot
have 'em.
rebel troopers or hot Imperial troopers. Exactly.
You
They
don't
look
think
cool.
the helmet is a little too Darth Vader evocative if it wasn't silver?
Chrome.
Oh, sure, of course it.
Well, that's what I'm
is.
saying. That's what my problem with that always was. It was like, really?
Also, Stormtrooper. It's very Stormtrooper.
Oh, but
Yeah,
Ralph
very
McQuarrie did a lot of the
Stormtrooper.
designs for Battlestar as well as Star Wars. So,
Yeah.
all right.
So more bad robots. I had Ellie. Oh, I have Marvin from the movie Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Marvin's such a great character, and that robot was so dull.
It was dull, but
Oh, it was
Yeah.
terrible.
isn't that though? I kind of feel like they portrayed it the way it is in the story. It just doesn't translate well.
Yeah, maybe that's. I didn't.
But
like
they
him
could
at
have
all.
taken
Because I actually
liberties to
like
make it
that. I
translate
like that
better.
robot, and I like that they didn't try to make him more exciting, more interesting. Because basically, he's supposed to be a depressed robot, and he comes across that way. So I thought he was true to the character. I just feel
Yeah,
like
the
it's
design just fell flat.
yes,
Just
yeah,
fell flat.
no question there.
How about
you
that owl from Clash of the Titans?
Yes, I was trying to think of the name.
Bubo.
Boy,
I
that was
knew
just
Barry would know.
so shoehorned in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now we're gonna, and we're just imagine that pitch meeting, and we're gonna have a robot owl.
He was meant to be like the R2D2 esque
Oh,
character
no
in that
question.
movie.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
That was we've got to have a robot character in this movie. Throw one in there somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gold robot owl.
Yeah. Yeah. Clockwork Owl.
The other one that is driving me crazy lately is Gertie from Moon. I don't know if you guys have seen Moon.
Sure. Yep.
That it's this little box with a smiley face on it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just irritating. Gertie irritates me. Of course, kind of what it was meant to do in the film, but
Yeah.
can't
Yep.
stand Gertie.
So, what's everyone's favorite robot? Let's
Yeah.
go around. Can you pick? You have to pick one. Can we do that? I don't know if that was part of your list.
Sure, I can. It's
Sure.
hard to pick one, but
If you had to pick one,
all right,
I'm gonna
I'll
go.
start.
One with a bonus.
I'll start.
No,
so,
just one.
So go ahead.
from a purely design
From Star Wars,
standpoint,
go ahead.
No, from a purely design standpoint, it's the Terminator Endoskeleton.
Really?
I love that robot.
Mm.
So
Interesting.
one robot I'm
it's
forbidden
an
to have in my
awesome-
house.
It's an awesome
Really?
design. It's
Must be scary,
menacing and
Brian?
Your
scary.
wife's scared
Yeah,
of
too
it?
scary. Said that is the one robot I'm forbidden to have in my house.
I've got the quarter scale statue of it, and I was looking at it earlier, and I think it's the all chrome with the white teeth. Something about the white teeth in that
Human
head.
looking
yeah.
teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Daryl.
Favorite is R2 without question. Just such an amazing character. But my bonus is Giant Robot from the Johnny Sacco series.
Oh yes.
Gigantor. How about Gigantor?
Giant Robot. I was imprinted on this story when I was a kid,
Yes.
watching these black and white broadcasts out of LA, KTLX. And I love Giant Robot anyway. So that's mine.
I was
So
going to bring
if-
him up. I was going to bring him up.
If we're giving secondary, I mean, I my favorite from a design standpoint, like I said, was the T800, but my personal favorite is probably as well is the R2D2. I mean, just I love that character more. I love the design of the robot from Terminator more.
All right.
Okay. Brian?
I got to go Robbie the robot. It's just, he wasn't my first love, but he was my deepest love. How's that?
Yeah.
and,
Hey,
if you
whatever.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about my pool robot.
Dave slept with his pool robot. You clearly slept with Robbie. It's all good.
and
And if you
Robbie
had
could be a
to-
female's name.
A secondary?
an obscure, if you want, for a second, for a really obscure one is Tobar or Eighth Man. Any of you know what Eighth Man is? The black and white anime show from the 60s about
Never heard of that.
a cop who's kind of very much like Ultraman, a cop who's accidentally killed, and the scientist who kills him puts him in a robot body, which is his eighth robot. He has a big 8 on his chest. He's Eighth Man. So he is a cop during the day and a superhero robot at night.
And Tobar is robot backwards. So
Yes, Tobar is, yeah.
I mean, there
Tobar's
was a
robot.
toy that he used to carry a little tray. I remember that.
That's a different toolbar.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I'll go, and then Ty, you can go,
Yeah.
since this is your topic. I got to go Lost in Space robot. I mean, while his personality isn't great, that was the first robot I fell in love with myself. And I think I got to go with Robbie as second. I think, to me, that's classic robot. Like, everything about him, like you said, not only the 3 laws, the design, everything about him, classic robot, Robbie the robot. Todd?
I would go Robbie. And just because I loved the Lost in Space robot as a kid, but I would watch Forbidden Planet anytime it was on. I was fascinated by that. And I think I got to say, from our talking about this, I was thinking about this. I think his being less approachable made him more interesting to me. I think the question about what he was going to do made him more interesting, where there was a little ambiguity there.
I think Lost in Space robot's personality was his downfall, because they played him for comedy.
Yes. Yep.
And if he had a little more Robbie personality, he really would have been
and I think
awesome.
And I got to say, most of my Lost in Space as a kid was later episodes, and I didn't see them in order, so
That's
I
what I
never
was just
perceived
going to say.
him as menacing.
That first half of season 1, and I've said it a million times about that show. The first half of season 1, he is more like Robbie, and that's when right after that they really started playing it up.
Yeah,
the whole
and that's what I'm
show
saying.
for
I do
laughs
him
more.
very differently once I went back and rewatched that. A couple of years ago, I watched the first season from the start, and it's very different. And I wish tonally they stayed there a little bit more. And then my my fallback position, I guess, would be Ava from Ex Machina.
Well, we're not at the hottest robots part yet.
Other than the fact that she will kill you with no hesitation.
No, it would be the Lost in Space robot.
Todd likes a challenge.
So, yep.
Cool. Did we have other questions, Todd? Go ahead.
Are we doing hottest robots, Todd?
We're gonna close out with that.
Hottest robots.
Well,
So,
wait,
and we, of course, we do have to include androids in that, because I don't think it's. I guess
Nothing
it's
on my
possible.
list is everything on my list is an android.
Okay, that's good. Otherwise,
Brian, do you have a question
it's
first?
just a lot of creepy time with Dave and his pool droid.
Can we blow through scariest robots?
Yeah, let's hit it. Let's go.
I've got the one that got to me was the little spider robots from Runaway.
Yes.
The
Yep.
little with the little
Those are
needle.
creepy,
And I will say the real life
me
analogs, to that Boston Robotics makes scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, those things. Little spider robots are terrible. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Anything small and mobile is bad.
They had those in an episode of Clone Wars, and those are scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Skittering around like that, and it's like just these. Yeah.
They're hard to shoot. Oh.
Yep.
And they had needles with acid in them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're really fast, and that's what makes
And they
them
jump.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And okay, who Todd?
Other scare. Well, I was supposed to be scary, but depending on the incarnation, turns out to be good. I love Mecha Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
Which you can argue is a vehicle, or you can argue it's actually a robot itself, because it did go full autonomous. So, and I just love Mechagodzilla. I always have.
Yeah.
So,
well, that almost made me think of Transformers, and it just shows that we're probably a little bit of an older generation here.
Yeah.
That we're not even talking about Transformers.
I've got a Transformer on my list of hottest robots. So
okay. Okay.
So
Very good.
let me ask you. That frightens me.
Anyway.
I don't know much about Transformers at all, but there is no non-robotic consciousness component of a Transformer whatsoever. It's purely, they're manufactured.
Yeah, they are manufactured. They're robots.
They are robots. They're
robots in
programmed.
disguise. But they have emotions and personalities and everything that you would think, just like humans do. It's just it's a whole different IP that's, I think, for a younger generation. And those guys can have their own discussions on that too.
Yeah.
But it's a rich universe of storytelling in itself. Tons of respect for it, but not my thing.
Anybody got another scary droid?
Ed 209.
Oh, Ed 209.
Ed 209. Yeah.
Ed 209. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I keep going back to the endoskeleton, but that Terminator was pretty damn scary.
Yeah, those were terrifying.
Terminators are just the most frightening things because these, again, and this is a really fascinating thing for me. It's like what makes a robot appealing or scary, and it all depends on their programming and purpose and whether they're with you or whether they're against you. Because if they're against you, they are hell bent. You can't talk or reason with them, right? It's just they are designed to kill you. That's the scariest thing.
Just to jump into the prequels very, very quickly, I found it interesting how the Republic droids were just so feeble, and were not menacing at all. But then you had the other ones. The attack ones and whatnot, and Barry knows the terms, which
the battle droids,
droids and whatnot, and the little spinning ones, the droid car. Anyways, those things were scary. Those things were actually scary.
Droidekas,
but the ones that there were just masses of were just feeble and
bumbling,
not even comical.
Yeah,
and I just found that really interesting.
A classic foible that I thought went out with the 50s was you blow up one brain and they all fall down.
Yes.
That was really disappointing. It's like, that's a really old trope.
Yeah.
Well, and I know we're not doing cyborgs here, but the Borg was the same thing, though, right? I mean, hive mind.
But they knew that. I mean, they knew that from that's the weakness of that whole thing. And
so Terminator for me.
Yeah.
Scary as hell.
That Hector from Siren 3 always freaked me out, even though that movie sucked.
But that little tiny face.
And when he put Harvey Keitel's head on his head,
Harvey Keitel's
that
face
stayed with me for a long time.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
They do evil robots have faces? Not really. I mean, the Terminator robots were skulls that weren't really faces. It's a skull, and the spider robots didn't have faces. Ed 209 doesn't have a face. I mean,
I guess that has something to do with it.
Well, and I think the endoskeleton is much creepier than the liquid Terminator from Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So, I said before that there's not really a lot of ambiguous robots. Gort was ambiguous. Gort, you could see as menacing, or you could see as,
he just stood there.
But what I'm saying is, it was very easy for people to look at him as menacing and other people to not.
Well, I think until a robot reveals its purpose or its mission, you don't know. And he stood there and which allowed people to put their own thoughts into what they thought he was going to do versus what he was going to do.
Well, he did vaporize a tank the first time he appeared.
He did.
So
he did.
He's kind of drawn a line there. But he's just a cop on the beat.
Pretty much. And that was just it. Yeah.
He was protecting himself, though, really.
I will say, Johnny Five always scared the bejesus out of me.
That's Johnny Five's a great example, like IG-11. It was a bad robot that got reprogrammed into a good robot.
Yes. Yep.
It's by changing his programming.
Yep. Absolutely.
True. Okay, what's our last topic of this time?
So we're gonna say, and this is no particular order. You don't have to rank these. You just have to have your sixth hottest robots, and we are including it. And why did I say 6? That was obvious.
Because you have 6.
No.
Because of 6 from Battlestar Galactica.
7 of them.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Yeah. So
on my list.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
That changes everything. There's so many of them on that show.
And that's why, but again, so you can, I'm kind of staying with one from, I'm not going with more than one from a single property.
Oh.
So does somebody else want to go first?
All right, for our female listener, we apologize for this.
See, Todd never wants to do this when we talk about real women, but he's okay with doing it with robots.
I'm objectifying androids.
Yeah,
I will say if we had a female co-host, if we knew one,
we could do men.
Presumably,
robots.
she could, and I would not judge any of you if you threw a couple guy robots in there.
There you go. That's fine.
Yeah,
And not to your face, anyways.
I mean, if we want to be really honest, what we're really talking about here is the actresses that portrayed these robots. But
That's
go ahead.
not necessarily
I
true.
don't necessarily know. I think it's that the portrayal is part of it.
Okay.
Okay, what's in? So there's robots. We're including androids. Are we including
Yes.
cyborgs?
No.
No.
I'd probably say not. Yeah.
No.
No,
Otherwise,
cyborg.
7 of 9 would have made the list.
Because it's wrong to objectify a cyborg. Okay?
Yes, because they're
Come
part
on,
human.
Dave. Just be a little sensitive.
We
here.
objectify everybody on this show.
Just be sensitive here. It's like
There
you
goes the
can't
bionic
put
woman.
Jamie Summers in
Damn
the
it.
same
Those are
list.
two. You just crossed off
There
two
it
on my
goes.
list. 7 of 9 and Jamie Summers.
Jamie Summers, yeah.
She still looks good.
I've got 7 on my list because one of them I'm not sure if they're actually a robot.
All right, let's
Okay.
go around this list so we can get out of this.
Hey, Dave,
Todd, you go
Dave?
first since this was your idea.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go alphabetically because, again, I won't rank these. So, Andrea from What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Sherry Jackson on
Yeah, Sherry
Star
Jackson.
Trek,
Yeah,
the original series. Yeah.
Yep. Ava from Ex Machina.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron from the Sarah Chronicles.
Yep.
She's not a cyborg. She's a cyborg.
No, she's
no.
not a cyborg. She's a robot.
She's a full-on
She's a
Terminator.
female Terminator.
Yeah. Yep.
Cybernetic organism. Living tissue,
Living tissue
over
Over a machine.
endoskeleton.
endoskeleton. That's a cyborg. That's a cyborg.
No. 'cause
No,
this-
it's not a
this-
cyborg. It's a
it's
cyborg.
not a
is
cyborg.
more
No,
into
it's not a
human.
cyber.
It's not. Dolores from Westworld.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yes.
Okay. Rachel from Blade Runner.
All right, let's just go with your list.
Yes.
That's fine. We don't need anyone else.
And then
You're
6
eating-
from Battlestar Galactica.
That's
so,
fine.
Who else you got?
Is
Well-
anyone who's not on the list? I
Yeah,
had Jamie
so-
Summers.
Go ahead. You do yours.
No, I'm kidding.
You
I
did
don't
not
care.
get the fembots.
Fembots from Austin
Fembots.
Powers.
Pick your
Yes.
They were actually a takeoff on bikini robots from
Yes,
Dr.
they were.
Lightfoot.
Yep.
Yes, but yeah.
Super
I
hot.
just texted you a picture of Alice from Transformers 2. She is a robot.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
Ooh.
She
Oh,
went
yeah.
after Sam Witwicky at college.
Okay, so technically,
I don't even remember.
Miss Kensington from Austin Powers is also a fembot.
That's true.
Well,
And
but
so
not in the first movie.
if I was going to pick a
Yeah.
representative fembot, I would definitely go with her.
Sadly, we knew that all along.
All right,
Yeah.
so now here's the one that I'm not sure was a robot. Joy from Blade Runner 2049. Is she a robot or is she just a hologram?
It's a hologram.
Yeah, she's a hologram.
I know
then
you
that's
only
what-
picked one, but you guys skipped Pris.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. There are others there. You don't.
Yeah.
You
If
don't
Rachel-
Pris is,
Rachel
if Pris
does
is
it
your
for me.
thing, I didn't put her on.
No.
I don't think she's hot. I think she's scary.
She's kind of a mess.
Yeah, I also
You
had
could
the
put-
TX Terminator from Terminator 3, Christina Loken's character.
Yes, also
Yeah.
a really good choice.
You could pick Roy Batty as one of the scariest if you considered him a robot, which I don't know if I
Yep.
do.
Yeah.
What about
He's pretty
Lisa
hot.
from Weird Science? Is she a robot?
Yes.
I was wondering about that. Is she a
Yeah,
robot?
I was too. I think
She's
she's a
on the
construct. I
list.
think she's a construct. So
Yeah.
But they
She
didn't.
did.
They didn't build her.
Yeah, they did. They
Sure
just
They
they
put a
did.
doll and a bunch of things, and then the computer manifested her.
so this Iron Man's armor is built by a computer.
Do you think if you cut her arm off, that there would have been a robot under there?
I don't think
why
they
would you
thought
cut
that
her
far
arm
ahead.
off, Barry? When there's so many other things you could do to entertain yourself.
I don't think she's a robot.
Really?
Is what I'm
No,
saying.
seriously, you've got Kelly LeBrock in the '80s, and your first thought is, "I'm going to cut her arm off."
I didn't say I wanted to. I'm saying if you did, she would not
Barry
be a
in
robot.
therapy.
If the Blade Runner robots are robots, then she's the same.
Okay, then fine. Lisa
But
counts.
Brian, do you have anything that was not on these lists? You probably have something a little more thoughtful.
I wish no.
Maria, what about
I've-
Maria?
I've got a bunch, guys.
Oh, Maria's
Dave
a
really
good. That's a
holds Brian
good.
to a higher
Maria's a
standard.
robot, and very
Maria's
sexy.
Yeah.
a good pull. Yeah,
And I guarantee you have a Maria, right?
I do.
I'm sure there's some lonely nights.
And
that-
and Maria can also make herself look like any woman she wants.
When the pool vacuum is not available.
when the pool
There's a
robot's
Maria.
busy, I'm going to Maria.
So I've got a few more I'll add in. So I had the Battlestar Galactica and the Fembots as well, but I had 4 others you guys didn't mention. One, like I said before, I really loved Get Smart, the old TV show. And Jaime was kind of one of the cool first human robots you saw. Well, he had a counterpart named Octavia, who was a seductress robot who slept
Chaos?
with.
Was she from Chaos?
Yeah, she.
Or she Control?
She was from Chaos.
Oh,
right. She must have been from Chaos, I think. But she slept with the like different control members to get their information. So my memory's hazy, but Octavia. Todd, you'll like this. Platinum from Metal Men.
Yes,
I had a big fetish.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, super fetish on Platinum. I liked L3 from Solo. It's one of the only good things from that movie.
Yes.
And all it took, and this is, to underscore the importance of writing here when communicating robot characters or droid characters to the audience, it's just those few lines that she throws off. Like, it works. I'm like, well, how does it work? I want to know, how it works. It's very, very intriguing for me. So L3 was a very intriguing robot. And then I also liked, there was Mom from Umbrella Academy.
Yes. Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Oh, my
God,
God, yes.
Sexy throwback.
Yep.
Character there. And finally, Eve from Wall-E. Totally different than anything else, but I thought just a super sexy, kind of very intriguing robot when you look at it from Wall-E's, point of view.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
anyway, a lot of very
There's
cool
a lot
topics.
of things you could do with a mouse droid, is all I'm saying.
Yes.
You could, Dave. You could try to mate it with your pool droid too.
Exactly.
Somebody pay to see that.
Yeah.
Let's go show and tell. And I guess we're doing a robot-based show and tell.
Is that the $6 million man's boss?
It's Oscar Goldman.
Why do you have that?
That's worth a lot of money. That's much more valuable than Steve Austin.
Regular Joe's show and tell.
Oh, look, he's got 1 billion toys.
Who wants to go first? Let's go. Here's how we're going in clockwise as I'm seeing it. Brian, you're going first.
Okay. I'm just going to send you a picture, if I can, of this guy here. So this is the very first robot I ever owned. I can throw him up here real quick. You guys are all getting him in text.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You want to know something? I had something very similar to that.
He is a
Shieldcraft?
very confusing Japanese robot from the 60s who walks. He has an astronaut face, like there's an astronaut inside of it. And he has a little gun.
Knockoffs of that.
He has a little gun that shoots out the front. And I had one when I was a kid, and it got tossed out somewhere along the way. So I picked one up on eBay, and it didn't work. So I took him apart and oiled him up and rewired him and got him working again. So I've got I forget his name.
There's Russian versions of that too, that are basically supposed to be like cosmonaut robots.
Oh, like a red version of the robot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 I had a robot as a kid that was a black metal robot. I think something opened in his chest, and there was a little not a video that would play. I have no idea what it was. I would love to find that, and I don't think I have a picture of it or anything.
I ran into a whole bunch of those while I was looking for this one on eBay. They're more common than this one.
Oh, really? Yeah, it was something that I probably got from like FAO
Yeah.
Schwartz. Should look through the old FAO catalogs. I bet it was in there.
Yeah.
If you happen to know what I'm talking about, shoot me something on it. Okay, Todd, you're next.
Okay, I was going to show something that I did not end up bringing home from work today. But Diamond released a really, really cool, Sean told me about this, a really cool Iron Giant figure with a couple removable hands and a great little Hogarth that's so well painted that they painted his laces. He's that big, okay? He's super tiny. He's like half an inch tall, but his shoelaces are painted. It's absolutely incredible. So I'll go with, to have something here, I'll go with my robot killing gun that I just replaced. I sold because it was way too much money to spend on a thing that was going to sit in the shelf, regretted it the whole time, and then just rebought the Blade Runner gun from Hollywood Collectibles. So anyways, but
Okie dokie.
Who's
Barry.
next?
I might have shown this before, and I know you guys have seen it, but I'm going to go with probably one of my top 5 Hot Toys figures ever made, and it's the K2SO top Hot Toys figure.
Yeah.
It's just huge. It's amazing. The detailing on it's great. They literally got like the hollow joints right, and somehow they figured out how to take this droid, which has no business being aerodynamic or even like able to stand up because it's so top heavy and it's got such spindly legs, and they made an amazing figure out of die cast and plastic, and he's one of my favorite things about Rogue One. I love Rogue One, but I love this figure. It's one of my top Hot Toys figures, so I'm going with that.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Daryl.
All right, so I'm going to share something. I think I've told this story before, but I don't think I've ever actually showed the backup for it. But when I was at Hasbro, I launched a concept called the Droid Factory in the Star Wars line, where we included droid parts in all the basic figures we did. So in every wave, by buying all the figures, you could build different droids. And the only way you could build them was by getting all the parts to put them together. And it was called Droid Factory because it was inspired by that 1980, I think, original Star Wars Droid Factory playset. And so what I've got here is, and this underscores how important the Star Wars was for me in like opening this world of droids. And I've just been fascinated by droids ever since. This is a drawing. It's one of the few original drawings I have as a kid. You guys can't see it, but I'll send you a digital pic of it. In 1981, so I was 15, I guess, I drew my own version of a droid factory with all these different droids I drew basically building each other. So it's like an assembly line.
Oh, wow.
Each one was welding a piece on the other. And there are all kinds of different droids because it really underscored for me how different droids could be.
So this was something you designed as a kid and then went on to produce as an adult.
Exactly. So I've
That
been
is
fascinated
fantastic.
by droids. I created my own droid factory. And then when I was at Hasbro, I got a chance to actually make the droid factory. And the funny thing is, just last week, I got Disney has been making in the Disney parks. They brought back the Droid Factory because they own the IP and they can call it whatever they want. So they've got Droid Factory playsets now that you can get in the parks as exclusive merchandise. So it lives on. I helped the Disney parks set up their Droid Factory, but
I've actually got a few of those droids from the Disney parks that I built myself. I made an Indiana Jones R2 unit and a Yoda R2 unit out of the different parts that they had there.
Yep,
Those are
exactly. Awesome. So what I actually got in the mail was it's a whole playset. This Droid Factory.
Oh, sweet!
Oh,
like an actual playset.
I didn't know they made that. Ooh,
yeah,
I might need that.
So I didn't know they made it either, but I had to get it. So anyway, the Droid Factory. So droids have had a big impact on my life. And
Derryl, did you use your drawing in the pitch meeting for that?
Actually, Brian, this hung on the wall in my office in Hasbro for probably a decade.
Oh,
and then every time people would come in, I would point to it. And I would say, this is the kind of imagination, Star Wars can inspire, and droids are something that you can put your own imprint on. Just like when Todd brought up the whole topic, I'm like, oh, what makes droids so fascinating? They can be your friend, your buddy. You can program them, control them. Sometimes you can't control them, but that's what makes them so endearing and scary. So, Droid Factory. I'll share this with you guys so you can put it up on the website.
Cool. Okay, I think I showed this way back, but my very first robot was the Remco Lost in Space robot.
Yeah.
This, as everybody knows from 7 years of this, I have almost all my toys as a kid. This is not mine from when I got the Lost in Space robot when I was 3 years old. A gift from my grandparents. And it got lost along the way, so I have replaced him over the years. And again, another reason, I don't even know if I had watched Lost in Space at that point, but I distinctly remember getting him, and then I watched it. So that's one of the reasons why Lost in Space Robot's one of my favorites. So
and Dave, those are original hands?
This is original everything, yeah.
That's amazing. That is
Wow.
because those hands are. It's almost impossible to find those with the hands.
Yeah, and
I've
the
seen a
domes go bad all the time too. That's
Yep.
What?
the
Well, the
dome was
dome,
bad.
Yeah,
you can see
Yeah,
it's
they
split
always
because
do
it's
that, yeah.
shrunk.
yeah. But the hands are always broken.
Yeah. I happened to get this, God, 15 years ago
Yep.
at Fantastic Toyage
Yeah.
in Long Island.
Yep.
But I've seen a number of these, and they come in a couple different colors. Honorable mention was, I think, my second robot, which was Zarek the Zeroid.
Oh yes.
This, again, is not my
Yes.
original, but I did replace him
Ah,
recently. And this Zog
major.
is an original from when we were kids. So this, I
Well,
probably...
he's the most collectible one now. He's the one hardest to get.
Yep.
Because he only came with his, he was the head of the
Head, yeah.
Zeroids, and he came with the playset. This is the only thing that
Right.
still exists from that stuff.
And he had
But I
a little
since it was-
positive and a negative hand that he could
Yep.
plug in and make him run things.
Exactly. And there they are.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's my show and tell for robots. Okay. I believe we have a last thought. Todd.
Yes, I was just going to say this past week, last week, Diana Rigg passed away, and I want to just acknowledge that. If for those of you like Barry, whose only orientation to Diana Rigg was from Game of Thrones, you owe it to yourself to go back and look at some 1960s Avengers. I suggest the 1965 season, whereas it's in black and white, it is nevertheless amazing, and definitely worth watching. Also, On Her Majesty's Secret Service will give you a good example of what she looked like. I will say, from the earliest reaches of my memory, I believe Diana Rigg was the moment that I discovered I had a profound interest in women. Particularly smart, attractive women who read a lot, because that was one of her things. But anyways, it's so she had a very long life, and but still wanted to recognize her passing, and like I said, she'll always be Mrs. Peel to me.
And she was badass in Game of Thrones. I don't want to downplay her excellence in that series as well.
Yep.
The Austin Powers' original girlfriend in the first movie was absolutely patterned after her.
Oh,
for
absolutely,
sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Miss Kensington was
Mrs. Kensington was Diana
and
Rigg, yeah.
and if your only orientation to the Avengers is the really bad movie,
Oof.
yeah, don't watch, like I said, just some of the season from '65, and it's just like absolutely brilliant, and it's very clever for its time, and it's a lot of fun. So, yes,
Check it out. Thank you all for joining us. Special guests.
It was fun.
Let's see if we could do this in the right order. Thanks for listening.
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 There you go.
Nicely done.